Yeah. I use relative athletic score in my process, and like the guys that like smash the not like good, like smash the relative athletic score, they outperform the rest of their profiles. What I found, and by that I don't like we've been talking quite a bit about Greg Dulcich on the podcast lately because he's pretty good. And I didn't really love his RAS score. Jacob brought it up, kind of blindsided me by it. It's better than I thought it was. It was like, I forget what he was, 8.5 or something. But then went back and looked, and I was like, oh, actually, this 8.5 really isn't all that impressive. That's like 40th percentile of all the tight ends drafted rounds 1 through 7. So then what I look at is like really like close to 10. Like you need to be elite. And then when you have the elite athleticism, I find that kind of propels players to be a little bit better than their profile would otherwise suggest based on my processes, which is a little different. But anyway, the super elite tight end. So this isn't on the show sheet, but Jake and I have been going back and forth.
Well, before we get to that, can I talk on Dulcich real quick?
That's what I'm going on. So
okay, go ahead. Continue.
We've been talking about this quite a bit lately. Last week because Jelani Woods had a huge game. Dulcich hadn't done anything. Now Dulcich goes out and has a huge game. Jelani Woods does nothing. You are firmly on the Jelani Woods side. Is that correct?
Of the Dulcich debate?
Yeah.
No, you have my rankings, bro. Like I pinned the rankings.
I was hoping I could trick you into just nodding along.
No.
It didn't work.
Absolutely not.
So how high is Dulcich? Is he like tight end 5, 6? Where are you at with him in Dynasty right now?
I have him right next to like the Kittle and Freiermuth. Like he's right there. Arguably ahead of them. Like you can make an argument based on what he's doing in his first season. This is what I want to talk about, the cross-referencing. Like we talk about 40 use RAS, like the 40 I want below 4.7 for the most part. Like that's where you see like the good players, like they're not slower than 4.7. And the guys who are like kind of averagey, like the TJ Hawkinson, like they're towing the line. Dulcich is towing that line. Like Andrews is 4.67, Dulcich is 4.69. But how did it translate? He had an 18.6 yards per reception in college for his best season. That is a fantastic. That is green. That's a fantastic figure. So he was fast enough. He's below 4.7, and he's being used like he's a fast guy as a deep threat. So the speed wasn't a negative, and he has that deep, and that's translated immediately. Like he has an ADOT beyond 10 yards down the field. That is deep. He's commanding a significant amount of targets that Jelani Woods, frankly, can't sniff. I'm sorry. Jelani Woods ran a 4.61. He had a great dominator as well. It was in his last season. But he was there's nothing that much better about his profile to ignore the NFL production, which is the most important data points we have for these players, especially rookies. When we see a guy like Greg Dulcich, I mean, you need to be buying into a guy who is doing the things he's doing as a rookie tight end. I would say his medium range is like pretty close to Dallas Goedert, and his ceiling is like Mark Andrews. Like this guy could be really good, and he's at least, I would say, above average is his floor. Like you have to be buying into him in this Denver Bronco shithole that it is. I don't know if you're gonna have to edit that. I don't know what the swear rules are, but this is the time to buy him. Like while the price is at least somewhat deflated, probably not after this game, after he just led the team in targets. Wait for another lull because there will likely be one. But like this year, before the price gets out of control, because he could be a very, very good player.
Yeah, no, I am also very much into the Greg Dulcich at this point. I think you're absolutely bang. Like the average target distance is incredible especially for like a tight end. Like it's magical. He's already got a 14.9% target share. We're only entering the second half of his season because he's only played 6 games. He missed the first 4 or 5, I think. So we're probably should be expecting him to trend upward at this point, which is pretty frigging exciting. The fly in the ointment is probably Russell Wilson and the Broncos offense, which has been a little bit subpar thus far. But yeah, like at this point, I'm probably putting Dulcich somewhere around like tight end 5 in Dynasty if I were doing traditional linear rankings, which is pretty wild to think about because he's like
I know, especially it's like somewhat painful for me because I was so in on Alberto. Like he was someone who I still believe is a good receiver. He showed a lot in his first 2 seasons from an efficiency standpoint when he was on the field commanding targets. And I was just a believer that he was going to get the chance first. But Dulcich, man, like there's a reason they went and got him in the 3rd round. He's a really good player.
Yeah.
And a stat I just remembered while we're talking about it. One of the patrons brought a shout out, Deep Plow. I don't know how to say your last name, but he was looking at the yardage per game. And I believe Dulcich is like 2nd or 3rd in yardage per game, like ahead of guys for rookies. For rookies.
Rookies. Yeah, that makes sense.
He's played like 7 or 8 games. Like we're talking like ahead of like the Burks and the other guys. He's doing great for a tight end.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. There is a lot to like about Greg Dulcich at this point in time. Okay, so is Greg Dulcich an actual contender with Kyle Pitts for best tight end of the generation?
Best hair of the generation, no freaking doubt.
And mustache. The mustache is special.
The combo, it's just glorious. There's nothing wrong about this guy's like. I don't have any red in his profile either. We have yellow because 3rd round draft pick is like, all right, it's not amazing. Like he's not an early declare. But other than that, it's green. There's not a single red flag on this guy.
Yeah.